Guys, we're in late stage capitalism. Like, we have to recognize that things are becoming more expensive. You have to work more jobs and do more things and have different side hustles to be able to keep up with this lifestyle that back in the day when my parents were my age was not this expensive. So I think that this is going to reflect in the industry if you want to be a creator, but also in the kind of content in which you see. You're going to be seeing content creators be more busy, maybe launch brands, launch products, go back to their 9-to-5s, just more discipline. On the flip side, what we're also seeing is this huge trend of more women are starting to seek financial stability through marriage. So we're seeing this become a trend in content.
What's good, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be on my 2024 social media predictions. And I guess it's going to be more like my predictions for like the years to come as well, because I feel like this industry is changing a lot. I think we can all kind of feel it, just the environment of social media in itself. And I know a lot of you guys are interested in becoming content creators. So I really want to talk about my personal predictions for how this industry is going to change and just some overall takeaways that maybe can help you on your journey if you do want to be a content creator, or maybe you just enjoy watching social media and you're just curious. I'm just going to kind of give you guys some insight on like the things that I'm seeing, the things that I'm noticing for myself, money, brand deals, all that stuff. I'm going to give you guys like the full tea. So I've personally been doing content now for, I want to say it's been 6 years, because I started doing content when I was in college. I was like 19. I was like just doing hair videos for fun, making like random videos depending on like what I wanted to talk about that day. And I wasn't really expecting this to become a job, but eventually I started seeing around like the pandemic, my YouTube channel kind of grew enough. I was making more money from YouTube than I was my 9-to-5 at Amazon. And I decided to quit, and I've been doing this now full time for 3 years almost. So I feel like I've definitely seen, even just in the past 3 years, this industry change a lot, but I've also been an active consumer of social media since like I was like in high school. So I feel like I've just witnessed so much change, and I've seen so much change in my own like brand and business. So I just kind of want to speak to what I'm seeing personally. Obviously, this is very much just my personal experience. Everybody's experience doing content creation can look very, very different. I'm going to be blatantly honest in this video, but I want to start this off by saying that I'm not making this to push anyone away from doing content creation, but I'm just more sharing this to kind of give you guys my own personal experience and the things that I've seen, because for me personally, I've always noticed that people who are very transparent about their journey doing this as a job have actually been extremely helpful for me on my personal journey. So I just like want to share everything and just give you guys like all the tea on what I am witnessing and the things that I'm noticing for myself. So that all to say, the first thing I really want to kind of touch on is the, hold on, I have my notes here. Let me make sure I have them. Also, I got a haircut. What do you guys think? I don't want to talk about it. I have a vlog. Or no, you guys go watch the vlog if you guys haven't already seen it. I vlogged me literally having a mental fucking breakdown about this haircut because I was so upset about it. But I'm starting to like it now. I think I just have to like kind of get used to it. My first kind of like prediction is that I think that content creation is slowly starting to become less glamorized. And I think over time, less and less people are going to be seeking this as a career. Obviously, in the past, social media, like I would say like the past like 3 years, especially like since the pandemic, I think social media has become this super sought after job for good reason, right? Like you have this like freedom over your time that you don't normally get with like a normal desk job. It's obviously a very lucrative job. There's a lot of opportunities that can come from it. You can go on brand trips, you can get free items, free things. I think has attracted so many people in the past few years to this job, especially in the wake of the pandemic when so many people were realizing like, okay, I don't want to be working a fucking corporate job my entire life. Like what? Like I want to be working for myself. And so I think the biggest, like when we're thinking about entrepreneurship, one of the biggest like roles in which people see themselves falling into is content creation. At first, content creation kind of felt like this like very exclusive thing that like only so many people can do. And then I think when the pandemic came around, and especially when TikTok came around, it kind of started becoming more accessible to more people. Discoverability kind of increased as we saw TikTok come on the scene, and people were able to go viral a lot quicker and easier than they were on these other apps like Instagram and YouTube. So obviously this industry is becoming just more and more saturated. More people want to be a content creator, but that also in turn makes becoming a content creator more difficult, because like I'm a very big believer in that there's like abundance for everybody. Like everybody can be doing their dream, but at the end of the day, this job and this career is one in which if everybody is doing it, it's harder for more people to do it, right? Like the more saturated it becomes, the less opportunities there are for other people, the less like likelihood you have to get brands spending money on you, the less likely you are for people just to click your videos when there's more options out there and more content out there for us to watch. So with TikTok again, especially, I think that we started seeing there's just more content out there. There are more content creators on the scene. And so the industry itself is becoming a little bit harder, I think, to get into, and not so much get into because anyone can become a content creator, and becoming like going viral is actually getting easier, right? But I think doing this as a full-time job and making the money that people used to be making from it is becoming more difficult. That's one thing I will say also is like content creators, like this one big umbrella, but we have to remember that like a YouTuber versus a TikToker, or like depending on what your platform is, I don't really like, I'm a YouTuber, like it's so stupid, like these fucking labels, but what platform you're on and what platform you're the biggest on or like the most focused on is definitely going to change this conversation. So for someone who is more like on TikTok and Instagram is their focus, I think that the industry looks very different than someone who is on YouTube and like maybe Instagram is like their side thing, right? So for me personally, I make most of my money from YouTube, and then I also do make good money from Instagram. And I was making some good money from TikTok, but I would say TikTok is like actually the least thing that I was making money from. But now that I'm banned from TikTok, or my TikTok account got banned, I'm not making any money from there anymore. And I can actually give you guys like my stats of like what I had, just to kind of give you guys like some reference. With that, for me personally, I started noticing on TikTok that like you can have 150K to 200K followers on TikTok, but that does not guarantee you brands are going to be wanting to work with you. You have to, I think especially on that app, you have to be a little bit more unique. Your content you have to be more consistent on there. That's the thing with TikTok, is you have to be a lot more consistent. You have to be posting more often. And you also just have to have like, I think, a more loyal following where your engagement is high in order for you to be making good money off of TikTok. Because you also have to think about that TikTok, I think for most people, the bulk of their income on TikTok is brand deals, because the TikTok creator program or whatever they have there does not pay out very well at all. Like I noticed for myself, even the times when I was going more viral, I think like on the highest month, I probably made like maybe $2,000 from TikTok, the creator program, but that was like years ago. Like that was like 2021. So it was, and they changed the program over time. So I'm saying this all to say that making money from TikTok is definitely a lot harder. And this is very different, like person to person, and depending on like what you have going on, who you're working with, if you have a manager, a good team, right? But I'm just saying this all to say that what I've noticed personally is that you have to, like, TikTok is not as lucrative as I think people think. And so a lot of people will start out focusing like their energy on TikTok and like wanting to do this as a career. But then I think what people are noticing now is that you can have a good amount of following on TikTok, but unless you have a good management, a good team, if you don't have good engagement, which is becoming more difficult because again, it's becoming more saturated, it can be difficult to make the amount of money from TikTok that you would want to make or expect to make as a content creator. And then speaking just to YouTube, like, in case you're curious, I think making money on YouTube is it takes more time. It's definitely a longer game, which a lot of people are not interested in. You have to be creating content for a longer period of time before you're just going to see these rewards and benefits. And what I always tell people is like, you cannot expect within a year of you starting this out that your life is just going to change and you're going to be able to quit your day job unless you're extremely lucky. And I think what happened is that a lot of people expected kind of like TikTok created this like phenomenon of like people expecting overnight success and fame and money from social media. But I think what more and more people are beginning to realize is that that's not necessarily how it's always going to work. I think the expectations for what becoming a content creator is not necessarily matching up for reality to a lot of people. And so I think that over these next few years, we're going to see less and less people. And I really just think over this next year, as things kind of transition and shift and like the dust settles, I think we're going to notice that more people are going to be doing this out of passion versus actually just doing it out of wanting to make a quick buck. If you do want to be successful at this, I think you actually have to enjoy it. Like you actually have to like it. And that kind of brings me into my next point, which is that I think that what we're going to start noticing over this next year and the next few years is whether or not people are doing this out of love or if they're just doing it for money. I think that becomes very obvious just in general as people kind of start to grow, as their following grows, right? Are people just posting just to post brand deals so that they can make a check? Or are they posting actual organic content that you can tell that they enjoyed making? I think that this is going to become more clear because, again, this industry is becoming more competitive. It's becoming more saturated, and what I'm noticing is that creators, in response to that, some creators are taking a step back, right? Some creators are like, okay, what's the point? Why am I working so hard? Like, what's the point? But at the end of the day, there are still those people who are going to be creating just out of pure passion. And I think you're going to start to notice, like, I think what you're going to start to notice over this next year and over these next few years is like, whether someone actually likes this or not. And I think that we're going to see a drop off in some creators. Like, some people will just quit, and some people already are quitting. Just because it's not even just about money or views. I think it has a lot to do with like a lot of other things, like safety, like people are fucking crazy. Like, you can get stalked from doing this. I've personally been stalked, and that was like a whole, like, a really like shitty and scary mental battle in itself, right? There is just the pressure of having millions of people watching you, thousands of people watching you. Like, this is not a normal job, and it can be very psychologically, it can affect you a lot. I think most people, like, we don't talk about this a lot, but like most people who make content are a little bit fucked up in the head. Like, at the end of the day, like, you have to be a little bit crazy to constantly just post yourself, especially if you're posting content that's like vulnerable and open, and like you sharing things and just being like open about your feelings in your life. And especially like as a woman, right? The way that you look, like, people always will have an opinion on you, and people will always be sharing that opinion. And I think especially again on TikTok, it can be a little bit harsher. Like, people will say what they want, and you have to have really thick skin for this, and you have to be able to kind of like just like post without really like, I think what's gonna have to happen for a lot of people is like, and this is like the shift that I'm already kind of like personally making, is like, are you posting out of like a form of self-expression, or are you posting to get validation? And I think Heinz kind of talked about this as well. Like, are you posting just for attention? Are you posting to go see the comments and like get the dopamine of like people telling you that you're like so cool and so pretty? Or are you posting because you actually really enjoy creating and you just want to express yourself? And I think what's happening is content creation has started to become, for a lot of people, and it already was like this for like a long period of time, but I think because it grew as a business, it kind of started to like change. Content creation is what I think people are recognizing, that content creation is a form of self-expression. It's kind of like an art, and some people might roll their eyes when I say that, but like, it really is. I personally see it as a form of art, like creating videos, being able to edit, being able to have an eye for cinematography and shots, like shooting things beautifully, like that takes skill. And I think that, again, we're going to start to notice whether or not people are really dedicated to the craft and the skill of expressing themselves through content creation, or are you just doing it to try to make money and try to go viral and try to clickbait people and title your videos a certain way? Or you can tell when people are just posting just to try to like grow their business.
I think more people are going to be doing this out of passion, and it kind of more as like a passion project versus just doing this to try to make this a full-time career. So maybe you have a business and you're doing social media on the side, or you work your 9 to 5 and you're doing social media in your free time. I'm starting to see more and more creators kind of do that. And I also think that people are enjoying seeing that. So I think on the consumption side, I think more people are wanting to see people work everyday kind of regular jobs while making content about their life, right? Because people want to see relatability. Like, people want to see people who are living lives similar to them. And obviously it takes like time and effort and energy to make content while also doing other things. But I think that people can really appreciate people who are doing that, because it shows that like, okay, you have a routine, you have to be somewhat disciplined to be able to do that. Like, people really respect people who are doing that. And so I'm just saying this all to say that like, if you are interested in making content like an income stream, also be considering other things that you can do for income. Like, how can you make money from other sources of income? And I did talk about this in my last video where I talked about social media from like a year ago, where I was kind of saying like, for myself personally, I kind of wish I would have been thinking about other streams of income outside of brand deals. Because for me personally, most of my money that I make 6 figures a year. just being honest, but it's like low six figures. Like I make like in the hundreds, not like crazy, like 200s, 300s. I make in the hundreds consistently from social media for the past 3 years. That's what I've been doing. For me, most of my money has been from AdSense and from brand deals. I do also have like an ebook guide, but I don't really make that much money from that. I make like a few $100s from that a year. And then there's also like affiliate marketing, but I don't make that much money from that either, just because I haven't been super intentional about building that into my business. Like I will link things, but I'm not very like good about it. So for me personally, I've been like more open about the fact that I think it's important to make sure that you are, again, if you're trying to make this a business or a brand, or if you're already doing this, just be thinking about other things that you can do for income, like other income streams outside of just the brand deals. You can create from a place of a lot more like relaxed energy when you're not relying on this to pay your bills, and it's like, fuck, I gotta post every week and I gotta post every, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're just kind of doing it out of passion and because you enjoy it. And I think with that, the quality can sometimes be a lot better. So I think that that's just becoming more common for people, is that they're kind of balancing this with other things, which is kind of frustrating to me, because I feel like this is just the society that we live in nowadays anyways. We're just the economy. Guys, we're in late stage capitalism. Like we have to recognize that we are in late stage capitalism. Like things are becoming more expensive. You have to work more jobs and do more things and have different side hustles to be able to keep up with this lifestyle that back in the day when my parents were my age was not this expensive. And so we live in a society anyways where it's like, I know people who work day jobs, but they have side hustles and this, and we're always talking about different streams of income, just becoming a bigger requirement, just period, for people, right? Whether you do content or not, more people are having to do multiple things to be able to pay the bills and make the amount of money that they want to make. So I think that this is going to reflect in the industry if you want to be a creator, but also in the kind of content in which you see. You're going to be seeing people, content creators, be more busy. You're going to see content creators be more on the go, doing things, trying to be business people, trying to maybe launch brands, launch products. We're also going to see content creators, again, go back to their 9-to-5s, maybe take a little side job, maybe build other businesses, and they're going to maybe share that. We're going to see, I think what we used to see in content creation was like this very soft life, relaxed lifestyle. I think now what we're beginning to see is a more fast-paced lifestyle that requires more hustle and just more discipline. And I think that people are showing that in their content. I think on the flip side, what we're also seeing is this huge trend of like soft woman, soft girl lifestyle in terms of like being married and being a stay-at-home girlfriend, being a stay-at-home wife, right? We're seeing, again, late stage capitalism ties into every single thing that's happening in the world ever. So whenever we have any kind of conversation, we can blame it on capitalism. Because we're in late stage capitalism, more and more women, and I can probably make a different video on this, but you may have already noticed this trend of women talking about marrying for money, which is something that y'all know I'm a Share 7 fan, sprinkle, right? If you do what you gotta do. But I'm saying this all to say that we're seeing this more in our content. I see like the stay-at-home girlfriend TikToks, the stay-at-home wife content and YouTube channels, and this is what my man got me, and but like that is becoming more glamorized because there is still the category of women who don't want to be the boss babes. Like they don't want to be owning 10 different businesses. They don't want to be hustling. They want to live a soft life. And so as I'm personally getting older and seeing other people who are making content get older, but also again, as we're entering these stages of late stage capitalism, like this is just very natural, right? What's happening is more women are starting to seek a soft life. More women are starting to seek financial stability through marriage. And so we're seeing this become a trend in content. We're seeing this become almost an income stream. It's an option. You can work a 9-to-5, or you can be married to a rich man. You can have your own business, or you can be, boot up and do the sugar daddy route, whatever. Like there's so many different options out there. And I'm seeing, I think, especially for women, these different categories and these different niches branch out from these different options in lifestyle. And so I just think it's very, very interesting to watch. I am the kind of person who I'm very like non-judgmental. I think that women can do anything in the world that they want. I think that you can be married, you can be with a rich man, you can be in love, you can have your own business, you can have the kids. I think women can do it all. So personally, I really like watching women and just watching people in general who kind of are not just locked into one niche in one way of like selling themselves and branding themselves, because I think that every single human being is extremely multifaceted. And I think that that's also something else that we're starting to see is people are able to express these different versions of themselves, because we understand that like you don't have to just be a beauty influencer anymore, right? You don't just have to do makeup content. You don't just have to do hair if you're a hair girl, or fashion if you're a fashion person. We're seeing people embrace these different types of content. I think lifestyle in itself, like the niche of lifestyle content, kind of like captures this really, really well. Like we're just seeing people display different parts of their personalities, the full spectrum of their lives. And so therefore, I think the whole idea of like having a niche, while you can still be big in a specific industry, again, especially when it comes to like doing brand deals and working with certain kind of brands, like working with makeup brands, working with hair brands, whatever, while niches and industries will always exist because of the way in which we consume products and capitalism, I think the expression of content and making content is becoming more multifaceted. We're seeing a wider range of people not being like, for me personally, people are like, oh, well, why don't you make this channel a podcast channel, and why don't you make a separate channel your vlog channel? But I'm like, no, like I am all these different, like I am the sit down podcast girl who can have a serious conversation sometimes, but also if you guys go watch my vlogs, y'all know I'm not perfect. I'm a mess sometimes. I don't always look cute, you know, like I have my insecurities. I'm not this like perfect person. And I think that more people can understand and can appreciate people just showing different sides of themselves, and also people just not being perfect. So that's kind of like another prediction that I have is like, I think that like people don't want to just see perfection. People want to see people want to see like your flaws. People want to see you be vulnerable. People want to see you talk about your insecurities and the things that you're going through and the ups and downs. People want to see you like still show up and still post yourself even when you're going through something hard, because people are recognizing like, okay, I can relate to that. And I still want to see, people don't want to just see the positive all the time, right? People are kind of getting tired of that. I think that, and that's why I always tell people, like, if you want to start doing content, do not wait until you look the way that you want to look. Don't wait until you're living the city that you want to be living in, or until you're in the kind of apartment that you want to be living in, or whatever. Like, don't wait to make content until you hit a certain point. Start making content now and show yourself show yourself on the journey of getting to where you want to be. You don't have to be your perfect dream self to show yourself online. People want to see an evolution. People want to see people grow and learn and make mistakes and fail and whatever. Like, people want to see the full spectrum of what it's like to be a human. And so I think that that's just becoming more important, is for people to kind of not try to sell this perfect image, this perfect lifestyle online. Because again, if you can make yourself relatable and show that you are a human being who goes through hard things, as we all do, I think that you can really connect with people a lot easier. And I think we've always kind of seen this, like even in celebrities, right? I noticed for myself personally, maybe it's like, I don't know if it's because I have like some of my placements or what, but like I always appreciate the celebrities who are honest about the things that they're going through. Like, you know, growing up, I think we used to just have celebrity culture. Like, when we didn't have influencers, we had celebrities, and we could always kind of appreciate the celebrities who were honest about the things that they were going through. And even thinking back to like watching like Real Housewives, like there's the housewives who try to come on like they're perfect in certain cities, but then there's the housewives who are like clearly going through some shit, and like they talk about it, but like you're more invested in them because they're being real, right? Everybody goes through shit, but the people who can be real about the shit that they're going through, and the people who are not scared to just be themselves and post themselves, like being able to cut through that fear and just post without embarrassment, and recognizing that again, we're all human. We all go through things. We all have our good days, our bad days. We all have days where we look good. We all have days where we don't look as good, right? Being able to just show up anyways and be consistent anyways, I think is what sets you apart as a good creator. Not even a good creator. I just think that people appreciate it more. So if you are yourself making content and you're kind of like, you find yourself overthinking and what am I gonna post? Am I gonna post this? Am I gonna post this? Just post it. Focus on consistency, right? People will all, like, at the end of the day, consistency will always be rewarded in this industry, especially now, again, because the industry is becoming more saturated. People who are consistent, people who are posting a lot, and I think especially people who are following like a certain kind of schedule, like posting certain days of the week, always posting on that same day every single week, like people know that you're posting at that time. I think those are the kind of people who are more successful because, again, you're showing up regardless, talking about what's actually happening in your life, you're being real. And so the more consistent that you can be, I think the more successful you're going to be at this. But again, it's a weird thing of like, you don't want to overdo it. You want to make sure that the content that you're posting is good. You want to make sure it's quality. You don't want to just post just to post. But I will say, consistency does, I think, help a lot of people grow. And don't try to be this perfect person and you got to do things perfectly and you got to title this perfectly and you got to make the thumbnail part. Like, just post and just post out of passion, post what feels good to you, follow your intuition. Don't be looking at what everybody else is doing also, because that's the other thing is like, it's very easy to compare yourself all the time. So just like very much just post. I think what I'm trying to say is if you're posting out of passion and you're showing up consistently, and you're just being real and being yourself and not trying to act like you're this perfect person, I think that you have a way higher chance of being successful at this versus just trying to be this overnight success and put on this image that is not really real. So, okay, let me go back to my notes because I want to make sure that I'm covering everything.
And one of my last predictions that I would say is that I think more people who are controversial or who, not even controversial, but I think that what's becoming like I said, right, this industry is becoming more saturated. I think that people who can come on here and come on whatever platform and speak their mind without kind of filtering themselves and without caring too much about what people think, people who do not give a fuck, who are willing to kind of say things that other people don't want to say, people who don't have a filter as much, people who even are, like, will go so far as to offend people, are people who are more likely to get noticed. And that's kind of always been the case. If you're controversial, people talk about you more. Even if they don't agree with you, they're still listening. So I think that that's becoming more of a trend also on social media though. And I think that especially this year, like thinking about this is an election year. Pluto just entered Aquarius. So like the whole system, late stage capitalism, again, remember, the whole system of the world is kind of starting to shift and change. Climate change, we're starting to talk about that more, right? The system of the world, like things are changing, things are shifting. And I think that people really, really, really can appreciate people who are honest and people who are upfront and just real about their opinions about things. Even if they don't fully agree with it, people can appreciate people like that, right? Thinking about Share 7, thinking about someone like, who else? Like, what's that girl, that crazy white girl on YouTube? Her name is like HRH Collection or something. People love her. She's just funny and she's real and she just talks about what's on her mind. Like for me personally, I will watch almost anybody as long as they're not like crazy and disgustingly offensive. I will watch someone whose views politically are completely different from mine. Just because I enjoy watching interesting people, I enjoy getting different perspectives. I'm the kind of person who's like very open to hearing just different perspectives on things. And I don't know, I get very easily entertained by people who can just speak their mind, even if it's something that can be a little bit controversial. I think that that's what people appreciate is people who are unapologetically themselves and unapologetic in their views and the way in which they see the world, right? So I think that's becoming more popular. And I think especially this year, we're going to see more and more people who have those views and who have the ability to post in that way. we're gonna see those people kind of rise to fame a bit more. We're gonna see those people get more success and get more big brand deals. We're gonna see those kind of people be more successful because people want to see that. People want to see people who are unapologetically themselves, because doing that is extremely difficult. Because when you're thinking about it, people who are like that, they probably get like so many hate comments. They get a lot of comments for people, like, you know, a lot of people don't really fully agree with people who are controversial and talk about controversial topics. And so I think to be able to do that and post consistently, even if you're getting a lot of hate comments or you're getting people who disagree with you, that's still going to become more popular because people just want to hear people just speak the truth. We live in a country, in a society that's very, like, it's very much propped up on BS. And so I think people are just tired of BS. People just want to hear people who can speak their mind without filtering themselves and overly, you know, trying to cater to too many different kind of audiences. Because at the end of the day, like, you will always find your audience, no matter who you are and what you're interested in. You will probably find your audience if you are willing to be real about who you are, and again, like how you view the world. I can also give you another example. This one girl on TikTok who I think is so funny. Her name is Sidity Des. Just go look at her TikToks. They're crazy. They're so funny and people love them. And so I'm saying that people who are like that, like people who can be funny, people who can just be real, people who can just be themselves, just say what's on their mind. Like, I think that's going to become more popular. And I think that what we're going to start to see is more people are going to start doing it. You can't just like say like some crazy stupid shit and just expect it to go viral. But I think we're going to start to see that more often over these next few years. Like, we're running out of things to talk about. It's very hard to be unique and different nowadays on any platform because everybody is doing, like, at the end of the day, we've all been making so much content and we've all like been inspired by each other. We've all, like, everybody's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's very, very hard to make content that's super unique and different. So I think what we're going to start to see is a lot of people kind of grasping for this like uniqueness and this like different angle. And I think it's going to be very interesting and just entertaining to watch. So yeah, that's kind of like my predictions for this next year and for the years to come when it comes to content. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Do you guys agree with some of my predictions? Do you guys disagree? Is there anything that you guys want to add that you guys are noticing for yourself? Also, let me know in the comments down below if you yourself are interested in doing content. Are you a content creator yourself right now? Are you interested in becoming one? Let me know because I'm very, very curious. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was very fun to make. It just feels so good to be sitting down with you guys again and just talking and just chatting. I just love it. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, an amazing week, and I will see you guys in the next one.